What's up, everybody? TCG Mike here, back for another deck profile, and today we are doing a GOAT format deck right here. This is Robert's back right here on the show with his GOAT deck, and I believe it's Chaos, if I remember.
Chaos Thunder Dragon, my friend.
Chaos Thunder Dragon. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Always good to be back. Glad to be here and glad to show off GOAT format. It's good to go back to the olden days. I grew up on old Yu-Gi-Oh! I started in Gen 1, loved the first three, then Zexal happened.
It is, man. Like with current today's Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, with you know how the way the meta is and stuff like that. Everyone always complains about it and such. It's always nice to go back to play Edison and go format because
simpler days with stronger cards, as you will see in this deck.
Lower power level skills and
yeah.
And
you'll see just why Go format's so much fun now. We're starting with one of the faces, 3 copies of Thunder Dragon. If you're old man like myself, you know that Thunder Dragon is pitch 1 copy from your hand to get up to 2 from your deck, which is a very important engine for this, as Chaos Thunder Dragon is all about filling your graveyard with flying dark monsters to fill up the power up and summon your chaos monsters. Speaking of whom, we're running 3 copies of Chaos Sorcerer. Is one of the two chaos monsters we run. 2300 is a very good stat to have and attached to a banish, albeit he can't attack the turn he does. But, you know, between that and when he goes to graveyard, he actually serves as fodder himself. We're running 2 copies of Night Assailant. Now, I touched on this in the Edison video. Check it out if you haven't already. But in my Edison video, I said that in these different formats, the card text from that era takes precedence over current erratas. And recently, this card came off the list with an errata that prevents you from using his effect to get him and pull him out. In Go format, when he goes from your hand to the grave, you can get Night Assailant from your grave back to your hand. Because it says flip monster and it doesn't specify.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, this is of course, the original print one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's from Ancient Sanctuary.
Yeah. Now, next we have 2 copies of Dikochi, the Battle Chain Locomotives. Some people run 3. I like running 2. Dikochi is a monster good for his draw advantage. When he's flipped face up, you get a card. And if you happen to have another Dikochi on the field, you get 1 more. Yeah. Now, here's one of my favorite cards in the deck. Magician of Faith. When was the last time you saw one of these ladies? When she flips face up, you get a spell card from your grave to your hand, which is very important in this deck, let me tell you. But I'll touch on that later.
I think the last time I seen Magician's Faith was when they posted, like, not too long ago, of that upgraded version.
The one we neither wanted, expected, nor plan on using. Because it's the level flippin' 5. Next, we're running Silent Sinister Serpent. As you may have already guessed, discarding is a very common thing in our deck on this profile. So having a card that you can always discard and have it at the ready is God tier. Excuse me.
And to put on for pre-errata, Sinister Serpent was able always to bring back from the graveyard back to your hand of the same exact copy of a card. Now today's errata where you had to actually get another copy.
Yes. Now, we run 1 copy of Magical Merchant. This card is to let us search for our spells while filling our grave full of monsters. Now, here's where things get spicy. Here's a copy of Tsukuyomi. Now, this is a spirit monster. And it exists in this deck to flip our flip monsters back face down so we can use their effects multiple times. So, imagine getting multiple spell cards off of Magician of Faith. Again, that'll be relevant in a minute.
Sounds pretty busted.
Oh, you have no idea. Next, we're running one copy of Tribe Infecting Virus.
Oh.
Again, another card we have to discard cards. And every time we discard a card, Virus lets us choose a type. And everything on the field of that type just suddenly blows up. Next, Sangan. We like this guy to die so we get shit.
Yep.
That's it. That's the description. Breaker, the Magical Warrior, running him at 1. Breaker is good for 2 things. 1, going up to 1900 and bidding over some things.
Yep.
But we mainly use him to take out cards with his spell counter.
Good for removal.
Yeah. It lets you target one spell trap on the field. If nothing else, it forces them to use Scapegoat right away. Now, here's 2 of my favorite cards in the deck. Next, first is Morphing Jar, or Cyber Jar, then Morphing Jar.
Cyber Jar just came.
Now, these 2 are... Cyber Jar is a recent escapee of the ban list. And in the GOAT era, he and Morphing Jar were both at 1. So many powerful cards in this deck are at 1. And for good reason. Cyber Jar will destroy every monster on the field and let each player draw 5, or excavate 5 I should say. Place them on the field face up. If they are any level 4s or lower that can be normal summoned amongst them, they are placed onto the field of your choice of face up attack or face down defense. If they don't meet that criteria, they go to your hand. A hand which Morphing Jar can then empty and replace with 5 cards. This deck is once again all about going through and getting all your Chaos monsters on the field as quick as possible. And these 2 also grant you advantage over your opponent by making them lose their cards too. Now, our last monster of the deck is Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. This is our boss monster. And what a boss he is! He's got 3,000 attack, 2,500 defense. He can attack twice if he destroys a monster. He can banish a monster if you don't feel like attacking. This man got a owl!
Dang.
Yeah, so a good strategy we like doing is throwing away our Thunder Dragons as quick as possible. And,
yeah, Turbo Chaos.
Turbo Chaos.
Chaos Turbo, or something like that.
Yeah. You know, Thunder Dragon Chaos Turbo.
Yes.
Is another name for it, an accurate name for it. Now, as you've noticed, we got a lot of flip monsters and a lot of monsters that get set in this format. So we have 2 copies of No Mana Crossout. If there's a flip monster that this takes out in face down defense position, not only is it banished, both players must search their decks, remove all copies, and they're also banished. Effectively removing that entire card from the game. Next, we have 1 copy of Lightning Vortex. Discard a card, destroy all their monsters in face-up attack position.
Yeah, but Sam, wasn't Regeki like banned at the time?
No, destroy all your opponent's face-up monsters. I apologize. I don't remember if Regeki was banned at that time.
Yeah.
It would make sense.
Yeah,
but also, the reason we run Lightning Vortex is it discards a card.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
Thunder Dragon?
Yeah.
Or
I believe that's
Sinister Servant?
Regeki was banned at the time. That's why Lightning Vortex was created.
Yeah. Now we have Book of Moon, another way to flip your monsters like Morphing Jar, Lady of Faith, Magician of Faith, flip them back face down. You can also use it on their monsters to defend yourself.
Yeah, Book of Moon's so flexible.
Absolutely. Here's a card that's a lot less flexible, but still good. Card Destruction. A lot of decks, they want to see their hands stay in their hands. You'd like to see your hands go to the grave, and sitting there too is pretty damn good.
I know Dark World loves them.
Yeah, Dark Lord loves this card. Let's not let them see it.
But they're not in Go format, though.
No. They wouldn't come out till much later. Now we're running for some removal. 1 copy of Mystical Space Typhoon. You know what it does. We don't need to discuss it.
Nope.
Now, time to meet Mystical Space Typhoon's big brother, Heavy Storm. Now, you may know this man. He's still in prison to this day.
Yep.
The prison that is the ban list. Now, you know, all of us feel like, you know, we were all children at the time of Go format, so it makes sense we like to steal each other's stuff and use it as our own to play with. So we got a little bit of snatch steal.
Oh yeah, snatch steal.
Now this lets you take any of their monsters, which is good when they have Thousand Life Restrict, because that's the only thing that can attack. But in exchange, they gain 1,000 life points.
That, along with bad reaction, was always good, too.
They gain 1,000 life points during the start of their turn, during their standby phase. Now, time for what's called the Trinity of Spells in Go format. The 3 strongest spells, and for a reason, especially in a deck like this. Graceful Charity is the first of the Trinity, and we love using this card along with our Thunder Dragons. We send the 1, get the 2, then we play Graceful, and then we get 3 cards for essentially 3, because we're pitching 2 Thunder Dragons.
Yep.
Which does nothing but give advantage to us, and we love it. Now, this is one of the 3 cards you're going to play most often off of Magician of Faith, and that's one reason it's called the Trinity. Because these are your first 3 choices. Your second of 3 choices is the good old Pot of Greed. May it never come off the fucking ban list.
So it's Graceful Charity.
Yeah. Every time one of my less knowledgeable buddies asks me why these cards are still banned and why they can't come off the list, I bust this out and I show them.
There's a reason.
There's a reason. Even in GOAT format, this card's at 1. And the GOAT format was in the summer of 2005, give or take.
Yeah.
And after that, the next list put him to the ban list, and he was never seen again.
Nope.
Now,
Kind of agreed. You know, two free cards with no cost at all. It's so good.
Yeah, that you can reuse.
Exactly.
Now, the last spell of the deck and the third of the Trinity is Delinquent Duo. Another card you'll never see come off the ban list. Because by paying 1,000 life points, in this era, abusable, very abusable card, mind you,
imagine opening
makes your opponent randomly discard 1 card from their hand. And if they have another, they get to choose a second to send away.
Yep.
So that's 2 cards.
So imagine
now, keep in mind, I have Magician of Faith in here. I have opened up Thunder Dragons, Graceful Charity, and Magician of Faith, and Delinquent Duo in my hand against my buddy Toby using his GOAT deck. He didn't win. That was instant game. When you can take 4 cards from your opponent in about 3 or 4 turns, you don't have to worry about winning.
For how slow Yu-Gi-Oh was at the time, if you open up with Delinquent Duo,
it's
very bad for your opponent.
It's very bad for your opponent, and it's a near guaranteed win. Now, as Michael just said, Yu-Gi-Oh! In this era was very slow, so we have a hefty number of traps, so let's discuss it. My personal favorite being the Mirror Force. A downside to it not being as, quick, you often would get fewer monsters to hit with, but it still would save your bacon. Now, another card to discard a card is Phoenix Wind Blast. And this lets you take a card on their field and put it on top of their deck. Not only, now, while it does stack their deck, it denies them helpful card advantage. And you know exactly what they're getting. Next, we're playing 1 copy of Call of the Haunted, which can grab most of the things you'll need in an emergency situation. And if you're able to bring back the Magician of Faith, for example, and hit her with a Book of Moon, that negates the effect of Call of the Haunted on her, and you get to use her effect again, which is great. Now, Raigeki Break. Simple card, simple effect. It lets you destroy a monster by discarding a card. Now, here's a real combo piece. Ring of Destruction. Now, again, this is way before the errata, so during the opponent's turn, you can target 1 face-up. You can target face-up card monster your opponent controls. That does not apply here. In Go format, Ring of Destruction can and does target any monster you control. So you can send out your Black Cluster Soldier, use all his attacks, and then blow him up to deal 3,000 big ones to both you and the opponent.
And if I do remember, I think Ring of Destruction doesn't have a restriction if your opponent has higher or lower life points either.
It does not have a restriction such as
today.
that. No. As soon as you are able to do it, you're able to do it. Dust Tornado, Spell and Trap Destruction. Torrential Tribute. This card lets you destroy whenever a monster is summoned. Pay attention, Cody. So, next we have
pretty good today.
Sakaretsu Armor. When they attack, it takes out the monster attacking. Single target Mirror Force. Not too shabby. And finally, Divine Wrath to negate a monster effect. I'm going to be honest with you. When I first saw this card, it was way past the GOAT era, and when I saw it again in a GOAT deck, I'm like, I thought this was a 5Ds card.
I'm going to tell you straight up, it was old school card.
Now, that is our main deck. We actually do have a side deck for this. And we are going to look into it right now.
Side deck.
So firstly, we have 2 copies of Connect Soldier. Now, mind me, I have to read these because I haven't seen them. When battling a warrior-type monster, this card gains 2,000 attack and defense during damage calculation. So if you're facing a warrior-type beatdown deck, which was a fairly popular one in this era, you could bring him out, put him in defense mode,
yep,
and just watch the carnage. Next, to deal with all those pesky face flip effect monsters, you can play Mystic Swordsman level 2, which will, when he attacks a face at the start of down step, if he attacked a face down defense position monster, destroy it. So it doesn't flip up.
Nope, just automatically destroys it.
Automatically destroys it. So you don't have to worry about Morphing Char. You don't have to worry about Man-Eater Bug. He existed in this format. He was played.
About any high defense.
Yeah, no high defense. No getting back spells. Everything.
Magician of Faith.
Indeed. Next, we're playing this card. Okay. So this is 2 copies of Legendary Jujitsu Master. Any monster that attacks this card while he's in defense mode will see themselves bounce to the hand at the end of the damage.
Yeah.
So, if it's their big ones, like Air Knight Parshaf, if it's one of the Chaos monsters, if it's any big monster, they lose that presence on the board and have to pay their cost to bring them out again.
Yep. For how slow Yugioh was in that time.
This was devastating.
Losing resources was heavy.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was today where you take out 5 cards in someone's field, like, oh no. Okay, I'm going to do a chain 10.
Yeah, do it again. See them all again.
Okay, next is Mobius, the Frost Monarch. A level 6 with 2,400 attacks and destroys 2 spells and traps. Yes, sir. I love to see it. Now, as you've seen, graveyard presence was very important to some of the best decks in this format. So, we have 1 copy of Kyoko the Ghost Destroyer. Whenever he dealt damage, you remove 2 monsters from their graveyard from play. This can stop Chaos Control. This can stop Chaos Thunder Dragon, which this deck is. This can even stop Goat or other, Goat Control or other decks.
Yep, any banish shenanigan type.
Yeah, any graveyard shenanigans. Now our last monster in the main deck is something in the side deck, I should say. It's something I've always wanted to use as a deck, but I was born way past this time, or rather, I was into the game way past this time. And it's not a popular format. It's Goat or Edison. Genzo. You know him. You love him. Genzo. Once he hits the field, the effects of all traps are face up or negated, and no traps can be activated. This is ultimate trap hate in a single package and it looking good. Genzo is a very strong monster. He has the same stats attack-wise as the Mobius the Mega Monarch. Same level, but in much better effect. Unfortunately, at this point of the game, Genzo had already started to wind down in use, being relegated to side decks, as traps had already started to lose their luster.
Genzo's got more defense.
Genzo has more defense.
Yes.
But traps had already begun to lose their luster at this point. So he was less relevant. And you would side him in if it was a trap-heavy deck.
Yep.
Nick, so that's our side deck.
Never know. Someone might be playing.
Now, for the rest of our side deck,
trap hole. Playing trap
we
hole.
have 2 more copies of Sakuretsu Armor. This is for the beatdown warrior or beast beatdown decks or a Fool of Aggression. You know, this is to stop them in their tracks. Another thing that'll stop them is this. Threatening Roar. Prevents the battle phase.
Yep.
It'll end it right where it stands. And now we're also running 2 more copies of Dust Tornado. This is to, you know, the opposite of the beatdown decks. We're running a lot of back row decks where you side in Genzo. You'd also side these in and use them to help make Genzo's life a bit easier before he gets to the field.
I totally forgot. I forgot that was in Go format.
Threatening Roar.
Yeah.
And that is our Chaos Thunder Dragon Goat deck in its entirety. I hope y'all enjoyed that, seeing some older cards. I hope the older players were happy to see the old cards rise again in glory. And I hope the newer players are eager to try this format out. It is a lot of fun. It is very much skill intensive. You have to be a good player to succeed. It's not like a deck can carry you in this format. And I like this, probably my favorite aspect of Yugioh right now because of that, where it actually lets you show off in spades how good you are as a player.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm going to definitely try to get more Go format and Edison deck profiles up on this channel for all those out there that are curious and want to play Edison format with your friends and Go for it with your card shop and stuff like that. But it is a popular format. Try to spread the word out there for for people who are not liking the meta today, or new or older players but want to play more fun. They are fun formats.
Yeah,
so definitely look into it.
Another advantage is for this and Edison. Again, if you haven't seen the Edison profile, it's going to be on the channel. Go give it a look. And it's both are going to be a lot less expensive than the average meta deck today, where you'll spend $150, $200 plus on a rogue or a low tier meta. You might spend $100 on the average goat deck, and most of that and a little bit higher depending on, because Delinquent Duo is still very valuable, and due to being banned, it's not been printed in years. You have not seen printings of Pot of Greed in years. And that's what drives the prices up. But for the rest, it's pennies.
Yep.
And if you have some old friends who have played a long time, there's a good chance they have some of these gold cards in their bulk and not realize it.
Sure, you can go to flea markets or go to or just go online and buy someone's bulk. They'll have Go format and possibly Edison as well.
Well, that all being said, that's it for me. Thanks for having me again, Mikey.
All right, welcome. We'll try to get some more of this stuff content on the channel. Thank you, Robert, for being here, and we'll see you next time.